law that controls the operation that you are engaged in. Learning and mastering this understanding enabled our ancestors to accomplish deeds the rest of the world is yet striving to understand and duplicate. Every action that any of us undertake requires compliance with the law of that operation if we are to be successful. Let me just give you a few very basic examples. At the very basic level, consider these things. You cannot stand up. You cannot stand up without pushing down. Try it. You cannot stand up without pushing down. This is what the law of standing erect requires. Not only must you push down, you must push down with enough force to overcome the inertia that your body weight has. Right? In other words, you've got to be strong enough not just to stand up, but to lift everything that goes up with you. So if you're carrying a box, a bag, or whatever, you've got to exert enough pressure to bring it all up with you. Right? That is what the law of standing erect requires. You cannot move forward without exerting a force in the opposite direction, or backwards. That is what the law of propulsion requires. You cannot throw an object, a ball for instance, without drawing the hand or the arm back in the opposite direction of the eventual toss. Can't do it. Put your arm out there and I throw the ball forward. Won't work, please. That is what the law of hand launching requires. Flight cannot be achieved without compliance with the laws of flight. With those examples, I think you will be able to gain an understanding of what it is I am describing. And so it is with unity. There is a law that guides the development and maintenance of a state of unity. Unless the law that promotes unity is learned, observed, and upheld, the opposite condition of unity manifests. And that condition is disintegration and chaos. Disintegration and chaos have a law they must follow also. Disintegration requires that energy be used to repel harmony, magnetism, and attraction in order for the scattering of the assembled parts to occur. Understand? Grasp that? Understand that?
Would you repeat that?
Disintegration has a law that it has to follow also. And that is, then disintegration requires that energy be used to repel harmony. Okay? Because unity is harmony. So it has to dispel or resist or repel harmony. It has to repel magnetism. It has to repel attraction. And when it does that, it allows for the scattering of the parts that were previously assembled to occur. Chaos, of course, requires that no constructive purpose or advancement above a state of confusion exists. Right? To have chaos, there must be no constructive purpose or advancement above a state of confusion. What's the result? Chaos. This is why the governmental policy of accommodation or integration resulted in the destruction of black communities and the fledgling successes that were positioned to emerge. What is this law of unity? How does the law of unity provide for cohesiveness? What is it that holds all of the engaged parts together as a whole, as a single unit? Well, my friend, it is nothing more than what today is called universal law of attraction. The law of attraction is a fundamental universal law that has gotten an awful lot of attention in the media lately. Not for this purpose. Same law. The science of unity is in keeping Ma'at. Ma'at is the law of attraction. Ma'at is the core of the science of unity. Ma'at is right order in nature and in society. Ma'at addresses the divine order of the world, including the political, theological, and social order of our society. And it must become the reality of today as it was in the ancient days. Ma'at represents that which is correct and true. The true is real. And for something to be just means that it conforms to the order of the universe. The opposite of Ma'at is unrealness, disorder, error or incorrectness, and these things result in violence, injustice, negativity, and evil. Theophile Obenga, the noted Afrocentric scholar, has this to say about the concept of Ma'at. The objective, quote, the objective in living Ma'at is to realize concretely the universal order in oneself, to live in harmony with the ordered whole, end quote. The current situation of our race is one that is not in harmony with the universal order prescribed for us as a race. In speaking on unity, the Fahamme prophet had these things to say. Number one, it is not necessary that everybody believe the same thing and follow the same God. End quote. Everybody following the same God is not the reality that is prescribed by the universal order. It was not set up there. That is an imposition of some men trying to impose their will, their way upon everybody else. It's not the universal order. Each race has a temperament that is established by the universal order, and it is based upon their geographical origins. Complete development of the characteristics that are latent within each people's temperament is the requirement established by the universal order upon each of us. In other words, development of the characteristics of the universe within each people is doing and living Ma'at. Going back to the Fahamme Gospel again, in chapter 2, verse 8, we are told that if we, as a race of people, want to strengthen ourselves in pride, honor, and self-respect, we will need to free ourselves from the restraint of negative opinions. Negative opinions are thoughts. Negative thoughts create negative circumstances. To offset the effect of negative opinions, we are told to produce positive ideas or thoughts. He even identified the positive ideas and thoughts that are necessary to correct the current circumstances that were created and are being maintained by negative thinking. We are told we need to generate positive ideas about history, religion, society, and culture, space, dimension, geography, mathematics, time, and eternity. But for the purpose of this lecture, I'm only going to address the first four: history, religion, society, and culture, because these four things are the underpinning of our becoming a united people. Let's take a look at what it means to be positive. Positive indicates that a thing is properly situated and properly attuned to take maximum advantage of the prevailing spiritual and psychic phenomena of the universal order. For our purpose, we will define positive ideas as those ideas which have a real position, a real existence, a real energy. They exist in fact. They are real, they are actual, they are opposed to negative. Positive ideas are created regarding a subject as a result of obtaining and compiling accurate information about that subject. Positive is not dependent on changing circumstances or relations. The positive ideas created by our ancestors were correct for the complete duration of the subject for which they were formed. That is, whatever the prevailing universal order was, they brought and produced ideas that synchronized and harmonized with that universal order for that time period. So in other words, every idea about what was necessary and right for the age of Taurus remained accurate and right for the duration of that age. Did you know that every 2,500 years they tore all the temples down block by block, reoriented them and rebuilt them? They had to do that to be properly attuned for the incoming influences. Every temple was dismantled at the end of every age and reconstructed to be in harmony with the incoming influences. New positive ideas had to be generated for each succeeding age or time. And we are facing such a situation right now. Do you realize that we're in the last 4 years, 3.5, I guess now, of an age? Do you realize that an age is ending? Can you look out, if you're over 30 years old, can you look out and see that many, many, many things are different than they were when you were 15 or just 15 years ago? And you really can't account for the differences? The biggest change that all of us should notice quite easily is our children are not the same. And there's a reason for that. They're not being born to live in the expiring age. They are being born to live and thrive in the coming age. There are things happening with children that people are pulling their hair out trying to understand. You got two groups of kids that have people baffled. Okay? One group is called the indigo children. They're just so smart that they don't know what to take. Okay? The other group of kids has got them baffled called the AIDS children. Children that they know for a fact born with AIDS. go into the doctor's office one day and they don't have AIDS anymore. And they have a gene activated that nobody knows how it got turned on. And neither one of those groups are they featuring in the headlines of anything. AIDS says, go home and Google it. Go home and Google it. In the scripture that most of us grew up listening to, talk about the Bible, it tells you, even though they don't teach it quite correctly, they tell you that at the change of each age, the leadership into that new age will be done by a child. Because they are the ones born to live, exist, and thrive in the new age. In the new age. So, in 1919, we were told to prepare for the coming of the new age. And whether we wanted to or not, events started happening that kicked us into gear, although quite reluctantly, some of us. And some of us in gear, we don't know why we're in gear and what it is we're doing, but we have to be doing something. All right, we're facing such a situation right now. The ideas produced by our ancestors were synchronized, that is, they were operating in unison with the prevailing spiritual and psychic forces of the universe for each age during their rise in civilization. As a result of this state of being, positive, they were fully assured, confident, and certain of each step they made. This is the state or condition of Mayat that we turn away from. And this is the state or condition to which we must make a return. We must revamp our pre-slavery status and return to living Mayat. Now, let's link positive ideas about society and culture and show what the implications for racial unity are. Society describes or has to do with the relationship of men to one another when they are associated in any way, be it for companionship, fellowship, or just company. It speaks to how people are connected and how they interact with one another. A society is a number of persons associated for any temporary or permanent object, an association for mutual or joint usefulness, a social unity, a partnership. Societies are also extended social groups having a distinctive culture, economic organization. It is a formal association, which means that they have explicit rules governing behavior.